In this video, we're going to talk a little bit about the ethics of teaching. When we talk about the ethics of teaching, we're talking about a system of morality that guides people in developing productive relationships with others. Now that could include relationships with students, relationships with parents, relationships with colleagues, other teachers, with your administration, with any other person within the educational system. Basically, simply put, ethics of teaching means doing the right thing in any given situation. The problem is, sometimes we have to look at what is the right thing, because there could be possible situations that occur when it's hard to decide what is the right thing. And that's when we have moral dilemmas. A person's code of ethics determines their response to a particular situation. And so we're going to look a little bit at some of the characteristics when we look at moral dilemmas that teachers often face, and then also look at a situation as well. One thing you can use to help guide you in your decision making in determining what is the right thing to do in a given situation is to maybe look at the code of ethics. Teaching is a unique profession in that it has different codes of ethics. I have given you here the KNEA, the Kansas National Education Association Code of Ethics, which is a good guide for you to follow as a teacher. I'm not going to go through this whole list here. You can read through it so that you can see what some of their codes of ethics include. I also have included this on your module so that you can see it in bigger print. So you don't have to read it necessarily from the slide, but this does give you a good guide to follow. When you're faced with a moral dilemma, a situation where you have to decide what is the right thing to do, there are basically 6 characteristics that you could use that you need to think about when in determining your actions or your response to this given situation. The first thing is you need to have knowledge. So knowing this is the situation, this is what's going on, what does the code of ethics say about this, what are the legal issues that might possibly be involved in it. So having knowledge of the situation from all sides. Having empathy. So having that ability to put yourself in the place of the people involved in this situation. If you're dealing with a student, do you have the empathy to put yourself in the place of the student? What are they feeling? If you're dealing with a parent, putting yourself in the place of that parent and thinking about how are they feeling, why are they feeling this way, in order to determine your actions. Reasoning, and I think going along with that is the appreciation for the moral considerations. So looking at it, because usually when you have a moral dilemma, there's going to be consequences no matter which choice or what decision you make in the situation. And so really evaluating and looking at all sides of it. If I act this way, these are the consequences. If I act in another way, what are the consequences to that decision? You have to have courage. A lot of times in many different moral dilemmas that you will be faced with, it's going to take a lot of courage to stand up and do the right thing when maybe other colleagues are going against what you're trying to do, or it's going against somebody else. So it takes courage to stand up and do the right thing. And then it also takes some good interpersonal skills. So how do you handle a situation where you can communicate your decision with still establishing and keeping a positive relationship with that other person? So interpersonal skills in dealing with it is also very important. So this is an example of an ethical decision, a moral deliberation, or dilemma that you might face as a teacher. So in this scenario, Jake is a varsity basketball player who must have a C in your class in order to continue playing. He has not been doing the work up until this point and is currently failing. You are friends with his basketball coach, and he has come to you and asked that you give Jake a chance to make up the work and bring his grade up. Jake is a very good player, and the team depends on him. He comes from an unstable family, and basketball is really the only thing keeping him in school. What will you do? So in this situation, you have to look at everything that's going on here. Some people might say, well, if you wouldn't do it for other students, don't do it for him. If you have a policy about not accepting late work, then you wouldn't do this. The moral deliberation here is looking at the situation and saying, okay, if I choose not to let him make up the work, he will be kicked off of the basketball team. He will more than likely end up dropping out of school, getting into trouble, doing other things. And so the moral of this situation is, am I doing the best thing for this student? And when we look at Code of Ethics, it's looking at what do we do for our students to give them the best opportunity. And it's a difficult choice. Another piece of this that will make it hard not to go ahead and let him try to make up this work is that you're friends with the coach. And what would that do for your relationship with the coach? On the other hand, if you do allow him to do this, is he going to really get the work done? If you put the C on there, is he really going to get that work done for you? What will he do in the future? Is he just going to continue to expect you to do this for him? Are other students going to expect you to do it for them as well? So there are many different things that you have to look at here and decide what is the best thing to do in this situation.